welcome to Compass Daily. Good morning. I hope you had your cup of coffee. If not, go ahead and pop that in. Go ahead and get your cup of tea if you're a tea person. Welcome to Compass Daily. My name is Malik, and I am one of the children's pastors here at Compass. This morning, you are going to hear live worship, and you're also going to get a message from one of our pastors here at Compass. So thank you so much for joining us. Also, thank you for your generosity. I work with kids, I work with preteens, and because of your generosity, your giving, we actually have safe programming for people that meet here on campus, and we actually have online ministry for your kids that want to social distance, or if you want to stay at home, or if you're just away from the campus. So thank you so much for your generosity. Now, we are about to go into our time of worship right now.
This is the air I breathe. This is the air I breathe. Your holy presence living in me. This is the air I breathe. This is the air I breathe. Your holy presence living in me. And I'm desperate for you. And I'm lost without you. This is my daily bread. This is my daily bread. Your very words spoken to me, and I'm desperate for you, Jesus, and I'm lost without you. Oh, so lost without you. And I'm desperate for you. And I'm lost without you. Yes. 'Cause you're all I want. You're all I ever needed. You're all I want. Help me know you are near. Yes, Jesus. You're all I want. And you're all I ever needed. You're all I want. Help me know you are near. Help me know you are near.
Hey everyone, welcome to Compass Daily. I'm so glad that you've joined us today. And if you've been tracking with us for the last few weeks, you know that we've walked through our core values here at Compass. Now, our core values are the things that sort of define who we are as a church. And by a church, I don't mean the building, I don't mean the pastors, I don't mean the people who get paid to be here. I'm talking about you guys, who we want to be as an entire body of people across multiple locations, across thousands of locations all around the world. This is who we want to be as a church. And so for the first week, we walked through the core value of navigate. We talked about what it looks like to take next steps, what it looks like to invite people to be a part of church, and what baptism is all about. We talked about all of those things because navigating people to God is what our mission is. And so navigate, which is all about telling others about Jesus, is such an important part of that. Then we moved to the east side of the compass and we talked about what it means to engage, which is all about connecting with people. We talked about what does your table look like? What do the people around your table look like? Does your table become a place where people can come and find peace and hospitality? What does it look like to connect with other people at church, whether it's through a thing like Rooted or through a community group? We talked about the value of connecting and even knowing one another's story. Then we moved to the south side of the compass and we talked all about serving. You heard from some of our local pastors, our global serve pastors, some of our on-campus serve directors, and we talked about the value of serving, what it looks like to serve everyone, everywhere. And then this week we moved to the west side of the compass, which we call worship, and it's all about growing in your faith. And so that went far beyond just this idea of standing in a church service and singing, or standing in your living room and singing. It went far beyond that. It was how do we die to ourselves so that Jesus can become more a part of our lives? How do we build rhythms? How do we hear from God? How do we give and sacrificially practice generosity? And then we even talked about literally, how do you worship? What's the importance of worship? What happens when we sing and when we lift our hands and when we celebrate during church? We talked about all of these things. And so today, as we sort of wrap up this 4-week, month-long conversation about our core values, you'll notice I don't have a Bible. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to preach to you today. That's not what we're doing. Today is going to be a question-oriented, super practical few minutes that I want to spend with you guys. So don't get stressed. Don't be like, he doesn't have a Bible. Is this real? Does this count? Yes, it counts. I just want to ask you guys 4 questions. Now, I don't know if you're listening to this in real time, if you're listening while you're driving to work or from work, if you've got it in your headphones while you're working from home, but I want you to think about these 4 questions and I want you to write them down. Because these are actually 4 questions that I think we, as part of Compass, should be asking ourselves all the time. So 4 questions. The first one that I want to ask you, and you'll recognize that these sort of revolve around our core values. The first one is this: who is in your sphere of influence that needs an invite to church? Who is in your sphere of influence that needs an invite to church? I've heard other people say, who is close to you but is far from God? Listen, 2020 has been brutal, right? It's been a beating. It's been hard. And my guess is it's been hard on a lot of people that are around you. Maybe they're not actually around you anymore because you work from home or your kids are doing school from home, so you're not seeing as many different people as you're used to. But there's people that are in your sphere of influence that this year has been crushing to them. That they are without hope and don't know where to look. And maybe you have a way to help them find some hope. Who is in your sphere of influence that needs an invite to church? And here's the most beautiful thing about what 2020 has done for the church. They don't have to be people who even live next to you anymore to invite them to church. This is why our online campus is so incredible. See, the people who are in your sphere of influence that might need an invite to church are the people who live a state away, but they're a part of your company and you chat with them on Slack or in your Google Teams chat all day long, and you hear about the things going on in their lives and you go, you know what, I feel like this person needs help, and the greatest thing is you have a source to some of that help. You could simply say, hey, why don't you join me in a watch party on Facebook this Thursday, this Saturday, this Sunday, and come to church with me. Maybe they do live near you and you can say, hey, we're not coming back to church in person yet, but we are having church in our living room every Sunday morning. Why don't you come over? We'll have breakfast and you can join us for church. Who in your sphere of influence needs an invite to church? Because maybe that invitation to church is the opening to begin to tell someone about who Jesus is and for them to find some semblance of hope and peace and faith for the very first time. So that's question one. Who in your sphere of influence needs an invite to church? Second question I want to ask you today. Now, this question is not meant to induce guilt. It's meant to challenge. The second question I want to ask you is this. Where are you avoiding opportunities to engage with other people? Where are you avoiding opportunities to engage with other people? Listen, if you are an introvert and you're watching this, Compass Daily is probably your favorite thing in the world because you're able to sit at home by yourself with a cup of coffee and drink it by yourself. Maybe you've got a book that you were reading before this and you were doing it quietly by yourself. And so what you love about Compass Daily is that you just get to watch. You get to be on your own. It's not that you don't like people. It's just that being alone is actually what fills you up and what gives you energy. If you're an extrovert, this year has been very difficult for you because you feel like you haven't got to see people. You see people at the store though, and you want to go up, you want to rip their mask off and talk to them and say hi and give them a hug. You don't even know who they are, but you just want to get to know, you want to talk to everyone that you come into contact with. Some of us though have found ourselves, whether an introvert or an extrovert, avoiding the opportunities that we have to actually engage and connect with other people. I've found myself before. I don't want to be in a community group because if I'm in a community group, it means that people have to know me. And that's scary, right? I don't want to be a part of Rooted. I don't want to grow in a discipleship group because if I do, then that means that people might know some of the worst things about me, or worse, I have to listen to the worst things about themselves. I have to hear their story. Where are the spaces where you're just avoiding opportunities to connect with people? As we just talked with that first question, maybe these are the spaces where you can begin to know people who are different than you, people who think different than you, people who believe even different than you, and you can then sort of move into a space of going, hey, what if you joined me at church on a Sunday? But before we can even get to that, we have to connect with people. Maybe we've found excuses for not wanting to connect with one another. Again, this is not to make you feel guilty. Maybe you were a part of a community group, but things just felt too complicated when COVID hit, and so you stopped meeting. But maybe you should start meeting online. Maybe you should start meeting at the park, and you can stay 6 feet apart from one another and keep masks on, but you could just see one another. Where are the spaces that you're avoiding the opportunities to engage with people? Because this is such an important core value for us, because you can't just go to church. You have to be the church. You have to connect with the church. Third question. Let me ask you, and for some of you, this is going to hit you a little bit harder than others. Some of you, you're going to go, this is already a part of who I am. But let me ask some of you this. When will serving, trying to live and serve everyone everywhere, when will serving become a part of your lifestyle? See, many of us, we serve on Sundays. We show up, we hold a door open. We pass communion out. We even, maybe we volunteer in high school ministry. Maybe we show up for a couple hours during the week. But then when we go home, we've sort of done our time. You get what I'm saying? We've sort of served enough already. We've done enough service for the day, so the people we actually stop serving the most are the people that are closest to us. Our spouse, our kids, our next door neighbor who might need help. Where are the spaces in your life that serving could actually grow and expand? When will serving become not just a thing that you do, but become a part of who you are? When will service transform from being an action into a lifestyle? This is the question that all of us has to ask ourselves from time to time. When will service stop just being me going on a mission trip and turn into me living missionally? When will service stop being me saying, I give my 10%, but I won't cross that boundary? I won't give beyond that. I won't sacrifice beyond that. When will service actually become a part of who we are? That's the third question. I have one last question that I want to ask you. And again, I don't want any of these to be guilt-inducing. I want them to be challenging because I wrote these down because they were challenging for me. The fourth question I want to ask you, and again, we're thinking about our core values, right? So we're on the west side of the compass. What might be one small area in your life where you can begin to grow in your faith? Where might be one small area? I'm not asking you for a big thing. Where might be one small area where you can begin to grow in your faith? We talk about listening to God. Maybe the one small area that you can grow in is when you get in the car to drive to work. Instead of immediately turning on the radio or the podcast that you want to listen to or music, you say, I'm going to take 10 minutes and I'm just going to drive silently and give God a chance to speak to me. Because wouldn't it be crazy if he actually did? Wouldn't it be crazy if God started speaking to you and you started hearing his voice every morning on your way to work? We talk about giving to God. Maybe what giving to God looks like is, it could mean a couple of things. Maybe it looks like here at church, you say, you know what? I don't know that I can be someone who gives 25% to the church, but maybe I could give 1 more percent. Maybe I could give 2 more percent. Maybe it's not even for you about giving to church. Maybe you need to start thinking outside of the walls of the church. Maybe you need to say, maybe I'm going to start giving to help build wells in Africa. Maybe I'm going to sponsor a kid who's in need around the world. What's the one small area within your finances that God may be saying, hey, you could actually take a step in this, and I'm going to be with you. I'm going to walk with you as you take this step, as you take this leap of faith. Where's the one small area in your finances where God's maybe saying, hey, we could actually do some more with this? Or we think about living for God, what it looks like to live for God. Let me just be open. Where's the one area in your life that you're sort of withholding from him? We all have an area like this from time to time. Maybe for some of you, it's your marriage. Maybe your marriage isn't going so well, but instead of going, God, I don't know what to do with this. God, I need you to help me. You just sort of keep it close. You go, you know what? I'm going to deal with it. You don't even need to worry about it. Maybe it's your fear about your career. Maybe 2020 has put tension on your job and your future. And instead of going, God, I need you to help me with this. I need you to do something about this. What you've done is gone, I'm just going to hide and cover this up. I'm not going to let anyone around me know how hard things are. God, I'm not even going to really talk to you about it because I'd rather just keep this to myself. Maybe it's not with your job or with your marriage, but maybe it's with the future of your kids. Maybe your kids have made choices over the last few years. Maybe they're adults, maybe they're younger, that you've started to sort of disagree with. And maybe, if you're honest, you're disappointed because you wished something more for them. Maybe what God's calling you to do, maybe what living for him looks like, is saying, God, instead of me trying to argue with my kid, instead of trying to reason with them, instead of trying to tell them how wrong they are, God, I'm just going to, every day, I'm going to pray for my kids, God, and I'm going to let you do a great work in their life. Where is the one small area that God might be trying to challenge you and get you to take a next step in your faith? See, what I love about our core values is as we revisit them, they can always challenge us to take a next step. And I don't care if you have been a Christian for 5 minutes or for 50 years, all of us have a next step. I feel like my list of next steps is significantly longer than others. But we all have a next step that we can take in our life with Jesus and in our life as the church. So let me ask you, what's yours? I want you to keep these questions in front of you as you move throughout the rest of your life. As you move throughout your time here at Compass, a part of Compass Daily, no matter if you live here locally or you're around the globe, we're thankful that you call Compass home, but we want you to continue to grow in these values. Let me pray over you this morning as you head out into your day. God, we love you and we are so thankful for Compass. God, we're thankful for the way that you have called us to be a church that helps navigate more and more people to God. And God, I ask that through these 4 questions, we would begin to challenge ourselves, not in a way that creates guilt or shame or hardship, but in a way that creates freedom and growth and vibrancy and life in our own souls. God, would you help us become people who tell others about Jesus? Help us become people who connect with others and serve everyone everywhere, and help us to be people, most importantly, who are growing in our faith so that we have a deep well that we can pour out of. God, we love you. We trust you. We ask that you would be with us as we move throughout the day. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much for joining us on Compass Daily this morning. That message was encouraging to me, and I hope it was encouraging to you. Thank you once again for joining us online, but we actually want to invite you to a service this weekend. Whether it's online or in person, we have times and locations available to you at compass.church. Once again, thank you so much.